Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Patricia Gross, and this is Philosophy 201 Introduction to Philosophy, offered here online in the fall semester of 2020 at Gogebic Community College. In this video, hopefully a short video, I will be introducing you a little bit more to our class, and we will be having our first, quote, lecture. It's not an intensive lecture. We're trying to be a little softer this week before we get really into it. So we will have more of an introduction to the class, go over the syllabus together, and we'll go over what an argument is, and I'll tell you what your assignments are and all that good stuff. So let's get going. Here is the syllabus for Introduction to Philosophy. And you can see the official course description, which you would have read when you signed up for the course. But I've also added another course description here that you might want to read. It could be very valuable to you as you go on to continue on in our class this term. But let's look at these course goals first. So I have a section, Course Goals and Learning Objectives. So number one, a major goal in this class is to trouble our notion of self, other, and the possibility of knowledge by engaging with the history of philosophy to the extent limited in the purview of this course. What that means is the goal of this course is to really explore yourself and your relationship in the world with other people and with knowledge itself. Another goal is to learn how to understand and interpret difficult primary source philosophical texts, complex philosophical ideas, and philosophical arguments through reading and class discussion. Okay, and that class discussion is going to happen through the discussion boards. Next, our goal of this course is to learn how to better articulate and defend philosophical ideas and concepts in class discussions and in philosophical writing. So again, the philosophical writing will be in the essay exam for your midterm and final. And then finally, a goal of this course is to be able to demonstrate an ability to move beyond purely practical questions and address broader issues of meaning and value. So those are our 4 lofty goals of this course. The course materials. Okay, so I know in other classes you'll have books, but I actually like to have introductory courses be as accessible as possible. So all of the course materials for this course are actually PDFs. And if you were to go onto the course page, you would see all of the PDFs for all the readings in the entire course. It go all the way down to the last second to last week, week 13. You'll see the last reading, right? And there's a video that week too. That's fun. Okay, so back up here. One thing you're not seeing, by the way, is that the video that I'm recording right now is going to be posted, and I'm going to throw it up right here, okay? And when I do the week 2, that's this week 2 video, it's going to go up right above the discussion board and after the reading, because you're expected to do the reading really before you listen to the YouTube video lecture, but you can do whatever you want. Actually, it's your life, it's your course, as long as you get the discussion boards done on time, right? Speaking of discussion boards, 50% of your grade are these discussion boards. And one thing I don't know if I mentioned or emphasized enough in the welcome video is that it is very important that you not harass your colleagues, right? I also don't want to see any images of gore, dead bodies, that sort of thing. I don't want to see vulgar language towards a colleague, and by colleague I mean your students or even to myself. And we're not here to be mean, right? But we are here to critically engage each other. So there is a distinction between being critical and being mean, right? And we're actually going to talk about that a little bit when we a little bit later in this video. Okay, so 25% midterm exam, 25% final exam, and you can see here the course agenda. Right, so there's pretty much 2 sections to this course. How do we know what we know about ourselves? And how do we know what we know about our relationships with others? So you can see all of our readings and on this, right? And you can see when the exams are. So there shouldn't be too many surprises in the syllabus. Now, on the last page, you can see the GCC's plagiarism policy. And more information about it, academic support, attendance, etc., etc. One thing I want to mention is that the COVID-19 statement that I've written here, we live in unprecedented times. If you're affected by the global pandemic, by having the virus, caring for someone with the virus, grieving over a lost loved one, etc., please let me know so that we can work on an accommodation. This accommodation may include extra time on assignments, alternative assignments, etc. So while generally speaking, I don't accept late work, which I have a policy here. Um, I don't accept late work, but everyone has things in their lives that take over their time. And so if you have something in your life that's taking over your time and you're not able to actually do an assignment that week or for 2 weeks or something like that, just try to let me know in a timely manner and we can work together on getting you to where you need to be. Again, my email address is patriciag@gogebic.edu. Okay, so, another comment. The disability statement is here. It's got all the information from the Gogebic Office of Disability Services. I myself have a disability. I'm deaf, and so I really understand sometimes you just need a little bit of accommodation to make things a little bit simpler. I think in an online class, the accommodation, generally speaking, would be something like having more time on exams. And if that's the case, that's great because actually I don't time the exams because you can take as much time as you want to on these essay exams as long as they're due at a certain time. You know, they're due at a certain time, but you can take as long as you want to on them. So one of the accommodations that sometimes is getting notes for the class in advance, and so that's why I will include all of the slides that I'll be using at the beginning, like at the beginning of the week. So you can actually see the week 2 slides already that I'm going to be using for the lecture for week 2. I don't think I have all the slides up yet because I do need to edit them. So right now these slides don't have notes. And the week 1 slides won't have notes, but hopefully the week 2 slides I'm going to go through before I give this lecture, and I'm going to add notes to the bottom for things that I'm going to be more extemporaneous on, so you can read them. Another reason that I actually upload my lectures to YouTube instead of embed them in the course is that YouTube has the automatic closed captioning software. It's not perfect, but it is better than no closed captioning. So, and if that's not working for you, just let me know and we can work on it together. Okay, so I think that's the syllabus. If you have any questions, let me know. Email is always good. Please email me, or you can email me through the course, the Moodle page, I believe. I think we've already gone over the Moodle page enough. Before we get into, so you can access before we get into this part, you can't see my hand gestures because I'm not recording my face. Before we get into the slides, I'm going to actually go over the discussion board really quickly for week 1. I always like to go over what your assignment is in the video because sometimes it's easier for people to understand what people are like telling you. So each of the discussion board activities that you're going to see have a little introduction right here. So they have the name of the class, and they also have this little bit that is the identical language that was in the course syllabus, right? But if you go below, each of the discussion board prompts also has this some additional requirements page, right? So no harassment. Your audience is your colleagues, right? Post links. So generally speaking, your primary post will be about 500 words, and your response posts about 100 to 200 words each. Sometimes I tell you you only have to write 100 words. Sometimes I say write 300 words. So it might differ at different times, right? Today's post probably won't make it to 500 words, right? And that's okay too. Citations. I don't require MLA or APA citations. However, I do require you to cite your sources. So if you are referring to something from a text, give me the author and page number. If you are like giving if you're saying something that you saw on Wikipedia or something like that, give me a hyperlink if you do. I'd rather you not use Wikipedia, but if you do, give me a hyperlink, just a quick link to it so that, or just copy and paste, Control C, Control P, and you can just put the hyperlink in, and that way you're not plagiarizing. You're showing where you got your information from. And we're going to work on that together in class. And then down here is a discussion board self-assessment rubric. So many of you might be thinking, like, how are you grading these, right? Okay, so this is a self-assessment. So you might not do this with every discussion board, but I suggest you start doing them with each of them, like in the beginning, right? So number 1, my discussion board posts have no problems with grammar or spelling. All quotations are cited properly. Secondary sources are cited with a hyperlink, even if I did not refer to them directly. Definitely agree, disagree, definitely disagree, right? You'll see from some of my documents, I sometimes have problems with grammar or spelling, right? So it's okay if you have some of those problems with grammar or spelling. I'm not the grammar police. However, we need to be able to understand what you're saying, right? So it's important that you go after you type out your post, you just use a spell check on it, or you kind of reread it. You can even read it, like read it out loud, right? And see what you're saying, and like try to hear what you're saying. um, I really recommend you write your discussion boards in a Word document and then copy and paste to the website, because it often happens in every single course I've ever taught. You'll be typing in the discussion response into the page, and then the page freezes and you lose everything you just worked on, right? And then you spend a lot of time trying to fix that instead of rewriting it. So I really recommend you write in a Word document or write on whatever word software that you have, and writing software rather, and then you can save it to the cloud or something so you have access to it. Okay, number 2, my posts demonstrate my knowledge of the course materials and ability to creatively evaluate philosophical thought. Where appropriate, my argument is supported by evidence from the text as well as from outside sources. We don't have any course materials this week, right? But you do have an assignment. And the course materials this week really are just the slides. So we'll get into that as we go on. But that's, again, for you to think about as you're writing these posts, as you're reviewing and editing. Number 3, all my posts focus on the assignment and does not, speaking to grammar, and does not stray into unrelated fields. That is a mess. So this is an example of bad grammar and spelling right here. So basically, don't stray into unrelated fields too much. Like if you're giving me a philosophy post, don't give me a science post, right? So focus on the content. Number 4, my main post addresses each aspect of the prompt and reflects my close readings of the relevant texts. All right, so basically, did you do the assignment? And number 5, my replies to my classmates are clear and engaging. So those are all things to think about as you post. And then here, so again, if we're going back to the top, week 1 discussion board, you'll have this thing that's from the syllabus, and then you'll have week 1, right? I've got the title for the week, and it says for Monday, for Wednesday. So this course is kind of set up as a Monday, Wednesday class, but the discussion board posts will generally, for Monday, are not going to be due till Wednesday, but also the Wednesday discussion boards are also due on Wednesday, right? So you have to make sure that you are getting that right in your order. But generally speaking, I've actually created discussion threads if you want to reply to them, or you can add a new discussion topic yourself. It's up to you. That's an alarm that I should not have had on. So, excuse me. Okay, so for this discussion board post for Monday, I want you to introduce yourselves to your colleagues and to me. And in your introduction, you have to include 2 truths and a lie about yourself. And the response post, so that original post is due by Wednesday, because some of you will take a little bit to get to this. Your response post, you have to respond to each of your classmates' introductory posts and guess the lie, right? And provide your reasoning for why you think that's a lie. And then for Wednesday, you're going to just be viewing this lecture. It's the same, you're viewing this lecture, and then you're going to do this original post. Describe in detail the last argument you were in. Why were you in this argument? What happened? Who won the argument? Is there anything you wish you had done differently? If you cannot think of a recent argument you've been in, you may describe one you've seen online in a movie, your book, etc. So the OP is due 11:59 on Wednesday, and you're responsible for responding to 3 of your classmates' threads by Friday at 11:59 p.m. So the last deadline for everything in this class will always be Fridays. So that's usually when the response posts are going to be due, because it's harder to respond if some people don't submit until 11:58 on Wednesday. So I give you a couple extra days to respond. Okay. So most of the content of this class are Monday, Wednesday, and your responses are generally due by Friday. Okay. So if you have questions about that, patriciag@gmail.com. Let's see how we're doing on time. I think we're doing good. Let's get started. So, Introduction to Philosophy, week 1. Let me make this file. Nope. Arrange, slideshow, play from start. Okay. So, what is philosophy? Okay, here it's the study of the fundamental nature of knowledge, reality, and existence, especially when considered as an academic discipline. Philosophy is composed of 2 ancient Greek words, philos and sophia, right? Philos you've heard in the city named Philadelphia, which means the city of brotherly love, and philos is love, It's not a sexual love, it's actually kind of friendship love. And Sophia, you might know someone in your life named Sophie, right? Sophia is the Greek word for wisdom. So a philosopher is really only someone that loves wisdom. And that's something that we're going to be exploring throughout the rest of the term. What is wisdom and how do we love it? How do we love it right? Okay, so that's the basic thing. It's the love of wisdom, it's the pursuit of wisdom. It's kind of a chase. So when we do philosophy, we are engaging in knowledge itself. We're engaging in and with knowledge itself. So that's a pretty cool thing about philosophy. Oh, and there's the slides for that. Okay. So what is an argument? What do you think of when you hear the word argument, right? It sounds like a fight. And then when you think of the word critical, you also think of like, oh, this person doesn't like me, right? So I don't have the name of the text here. From Gregory Basham's Critical Thinking, he writes, in critical thinking, an argument is simply a claim defended by reasons, with reasons, right? An argument in the philosophical context, in the critical thinking context, is just a claim, that is what you're trying to say, that you defend with reasons, right? And the claims are given as statements. I am cool is a claim, right? But then I didn't give any argument for it. I just said I was, right? So some of these slides I'm going to skip because it takes more time and I think it's okay. So, whoa, what's happening here? Okay, so a statement, so again, an argument is a claim defended by reasons. Claims are often given or are always given as a statement. And a statement can be either true or false. Loki is my cat. Loki is an American shorthair. Loki loves me. Loki is 78 years old. Which one of these is not a statement? None of them, right? They're all statements. One of them is a lie. I bet you'll never guess which one is a lie. So one sentence can actually hold more than one statement. So Loki is my cat and David is my brother, right? Basham says a statement can sometimes be expressed as a phrase or an incomplete clause rather than as a complete declarative sentence, right? So you don't actually have to have a full sentence in order to have a statement. So Loki is my cat and David is my brother. Those are two different statements, right, in one sentence. I forgot I added all of these like fancy graphics to this. A premise is a kind of statement. It says in an argument, Basham says, in an argument offered as evidence or reasons why we should accept another statement. So a premise is a kind of statement that supports what you're trying to claim, right? It's the reasoning for the claim, right? So the claim, the conclusion of an argument is what you're trying to show, and the premise is the reason. I actually like to use the example of like an advertisement, right? So the advertisement always has the same argument, right? Therefore, you should buy this product, right? And however the argument actually works will depend on a lot of things. So if it's an advertisement for Coca-Cola, have you guys seen the new Diet Coke advertisement about moms? That's like super intense. Your mom was able to clean the kitchen and become a media rock star, and she was able to do all these things backwards and in high heels. It's just like all this stuff about how great Diet Coke is. I've got a Diet Coke with me right here, so obviously it worked. But this advertisement, the conclusion of the advertisement, it's an argument. It says, buy Diet Coke, right? And the premise is, you like your mom. Your mom likes Diet Coke. Diet Coke is therefore cool if your mom likes it because your mom is cool. Therefore, drink Diet Coke. It's something like that, a chain argument. That's what that's called. So a premise is a kind of statement that is used to support your conclusion of your argument, right? The conclusion is the statement in an argument that the premises are intended to prove or support. An argument is a group of statements, one or more of which, called the premises, are intended to prove or support another statement called the conclusion. So, tips on finding the conclusion of an argument. 1. Find the main issue and ask yourself what the position the writer or speaker is taking on that issue. Look at the beginning or end of the passage. The conclusion is often found in one of those places. Ask yourself, what is the writer or speaker trying to prove? That will be the conclusion. Try putting the word therefore before one of the statements. If it fits, that statement is probably the conclusion. Try the because trick. That is, try to find the most appropriate way to fill in the blanks in the following statement. The writer or speaker believes conclusion because premise. The conclusion will naturally come before the word because. Okay, now that we've gotten into what an argument is, let's look at what an argument is not. An argument is not, okay, so something counts as an argument when 1, it is a group of 2 or more statements, and 2, one of those statements, the conclusion, is claimed or intended to be supported by the others, the premises. So this is from the Basham text, 51 to 52. Because critical thinking is concerned primarily with understanding, constructing, and critically evaluating arguments, one of the most basic critical thinking skills is that of recognizing arguments. Again, what is not an argument? A fight is not necessarily an argument. Depends on what's going on. Okay, so some things are not arguments. A declarative statement, I love the show Supernatural, is not an argument. If I said something like, I love the show Supernatural because it's 2 brothers hunting things and protecting people. Wait, I ruined it. If I said that I love the show Supernatural because it's 2 brothers saving things, hunting things, the family business, saving people, hunting things, the family business. See, this is the end of the lecture and I'm kind of off the rails. It shows me it's time. If I can't even quote the first episode of Supernatural, that shows that I need to take a nap or something. Saving things, saving people, hunting things, the family business. I don't know why I could not remember that. But if I said I love Supernatural because the main quote is saving people, hunting things, the family business, even if that didn't make any sense to you, it's still an argument, right? You could probably say that's a ridiculous thing to say, but it's still an argument that I said, and you can tell because I use the word because, right? It is not an argument just to say I love Supernatural or I need to take a nap, right? So a summary of this is arguments are the way we think and reason. When we're reasoning something out, what we're really doing is forming a series of arguments in our heads. This is from the Basham text, by the way. Though argument can also mean a dispute in common use, that's not the sense in which we mean it when doing philosophy. Arguments consist of a conclusion and almost always some premises. The conclusion is what the argument is meant to support as being true. It's the claim being made. The premises provide support for the conclusion. There can be any number of premises, from 0 to millions and infinite. The premises and conclusion are propositional statements, that's a tough word, that is, they are sentences that express facts, propositions about the world. Okay, so that was a lot to take in about what an argument is. You have your assignments. This is Loki, by the way. He's not 78 years old, but he is a good boy. So your assignment for next time, for next week, is to read Plato's Apology, and I would like you to read that before class next time. Let me go over here. So before you come to class, which is a video, I want you to go ahead and read the apology, and you have discussion board posts for next week as well. But let's look at the discussion board post again for week 1. It's here. It might make a little bit more sense because I want you to explain a time that you've had an argument. And remember, an argument is a series of statements, right, that support another statement, which is the conclusion. So it's premises that support a conclusion, okay? I think that's it for today. I think I've done enough. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I'm really looking forward to reading your discussion board post this week, and I hope that the beginning of the term treats you well. Okay, goodbye.